The Castellano mansion was packed with important people. 200 members of high society were drinking expensive champagne and celebrating the merger of the family business with an international conglomerate. Politicians, famous businessmen, and celebrities filled every corner of the $15 million estate in Alpine, New Jersey. Rachel Santos carried a heavy tray, trying to pass unnoticed among the guests. At 29 years old, she had learned to become invisible in that house. Working as a housekeeper for the Castellanos, she knew that the less attention she drew, the better. But today, Veronica Castellano was in a terrible mood. "Rachel," the boss's voice cut through the air like a knife. "Get over here now." All conversation stopped. 200 pairs of eyes turned to the woman in a simple uniform. Veronica, at 35, was beautiful in an artificial way, full of surgeries and expensive treatments. Her dress cost more than Rachel's annual salary. "Yes, ma'am," Rachel said quietly, approaching. "Look at this, everyone," Veronica announced to the group of socialites around her. "Our housekeeper managed to spill champagne on the Italian sofa, $15,000 in damages." Rachel looked confused. There was no stain on the sofa, but before she could speak, Veronica was already pouring her own champagne on the upholstery. "There, now clean it with your hands. I want everyone to see how you deal with an irresponsible employee." The silence was heavy. No one moved. Rachel felt tears burning her eyes, but she knelt and began cleaning the champagne with her bare hands. 200 people watched her humiliation. "How pathetic," laughed one of Veronica's friends. "That's why these people aren't good for anything else." That's when Rachel lifted her eyes and met Henry Castellano's gaze. The boss was standing a few feet away, fist clenched and jaw tense. His dark eyes met hers for a second that seemed eternal. Henry took a step forward as if he were going to do something, but Veronica was faster. "Henry, honey, come meet Mr. Matsumoto. He wants to invest more in our project." Henry hesitated, his eyes still fixed on Rachel kneeling on the floor. For a moment she thought he would finally have the courage to say something, but he lowered his head and followed his wife. "See, Rachel," Veronica whispered in her ear, low enough for only her to hear. "Not even my own husband cares about you. You're nothing. And after this party, you're going to disappear forever." The threat froze Rachel's blood. There was something in Veronica's voice that was different this time, more dangerous. She finished cleaning the sofa in silence, under the disgusted and pitying looks of the guests. When she stood up, Veronica had already walked away, laughing loudly with her friends. But someone had watched everything with special attention. Lucas, the couple's 8-year-old son, was hiding behind a column, holding his new cell phone. He had recorded every second of the humiliation his mother inflicted on the only person in the house who was kind to him. And last night he had overheard a phone conversation from his mother that left him very scared. 15 minutes later, the party had spread to the pool area. A band was playing live music and the champagne kept flowing. The guests were excited, talking loudly and laughing. Lucas was playing at the edge of the pool with other children. The pool was deep, 13 feet at the deepest part, and had an artificial waterfall that made bubbles in the water. He had promised his mother he would stay away from the water, but it was hard to resist. Henry was talking with Japanese investors about expanding the company. He gestured, explaining graphs on the tablet, but occasionally his eyes searched for Rachel among the employees serving the guests. Rachel was in the kitchen washing crystal glasses. Her hands still trembled after the humiliation. Each glass was worth more than her monthly salary, and she was careful not to break anything. That's when she heard footsteps approaching. "Rachel," Henry's voice made her turn quickly. He was at the kitchen door, his suit slightly wrinkled and his hair disheveled. "Mr. Henry, I need to finish washing these glasses," she stammered, but he came in and closed the door. The kitchen seemed to get smaller. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice coming out a bit hoarse. "I'm sorry for not doing anything, for never doing anything." Rachel stopped washing the glasses. It was the first time he had spoken directly to her, and the words hit like a punch. "You don't need to apologize. I know what my place is here." "No," Henry approached. "You shouldn't be in this situation. You shouldn't suffer like this." Her eyes filled with tears again. "Why are you talking to me like this?" Henry hesitated as if gathering courage for something. "Because I can't stay silent anymore watching you suffer like this." The silence stretched between them. Rachel felt her heart racing. In recent months, she had noticed his glances, how he always appeared when Veronica was being too cruel, the small anonymous gifts in her room, a chocolate, a flower. "Mr. Henry, this isn't right," she whispered, but couldn't move away when he came closer. "I know it's not right. Nothing in my life is right. My marriage is a lie. My wife is, you know how she is." He paused right in front of her. "And I can't stop thinking about you." The words hung in the air like a forbidden confession. Rachel felt her legs go weak. "This is crazy. I'm just a housekeeper. You're the bravest person I know. You take care of my son better than his own mother. You bring joy to this house." Henry raised his hand and touched her face. "I needed you to know." Rachel closed her eyes for a second, allowing herself to feel his touch. "And now what do we do?" Before Henry could answer, they heard noise at the door. They quickly moved apart. The door opened and Lucas came running in. "Dad, Mom's looking for you. She said you disappeared." Henry looked one last time at Rachel. "I'll find a way," he whispered just for her. Somehow, he left with Lucas, leaving Rachel alone with her heart racing. Outside, Lucas smiled to himself. He had recorded everything on his cell phone and knew this recording would be very important, especially after the conversation he had overheard yesterday. His mother talking on the phone. "Don't worry, after today's party she'll have an accident, and it'll look like a real accident." Lucas didn't fully understand, but he knew his mother was planning something bad for Aunt Rachel. It was almost 4 p.m. when everything changed. Lucas was playing at the edge of the pool, trying to grab a ball that had fallen in the water. His wet sneaker slipped on the marble and he fell backward into the deepest part. For a few seconds, no one worried. It was normal for children to fall in the pool, but Lucas didn't come back to the surface. "Lucas!" one of the other children screamed. "Lucas doesn't know how to swim well." It was as if someone had paused a movie. 200 important people, businessmen who moved billions, politicians who ran the country, were paralyzed watching an 8-year-old child drown. Henry was 30 feet from the pool when he saw his son disappear under the water. He dropped the tablet, which broke on the ground, and ran. But when he reached the edge and saw Lucas struggling 13 feet below, something strange happened. He froze. "Somebody do something," Henry screamed, but his feet seemed glued to the ground. "Please, somebody save my son." TV cameras kept recording. 200 wealthy adults watched a child die and no one moved. Some screamed asking for help, others grabbed their cell phones to film, but no one jumped. Veronica finally noticed when she heard the screams. She ran to the pool, saw her son drowning, and started screaming, "My son, my baby, somebody save my son." But she didn't jump either. Lucas had been underwater for 40 seconds when his strength began to fail. He tried to swim up, but it was too deep for his little legs. Water entered his lungs and he felt everything go dark. That's when he saw someone diving toward him. On the other side of the garden, Rachel was collecting cups when she heard the screams. She ran through the crowd of wealthy, paralyzed people. She saw Lucas drowning and didn't think twice. While 200 important people watched doing nothing, she tore off her apron and dove fully clothed into the freezing pool. The water was colder than she expected. Rachel wasn't an experienced swimmer, but desperation gave her superhuman strength. She swam to where Lucas was sinking and grabbed him in her arms, fighting to bring him to the surface. The boy was almost unconscious but still clung to her. When they came up, both were gasping. Lucas was coughing up water but was breathing. "Hold on to me, Lucas," she whispered in his ear. "Don't let go." The crowd at the edge finally reacted. Henry had snapped out of his shock and was at the edge, extending his arms. "Pass him to me," Henry shouted. Rachel pushed Lucas toward his father. But the moment she released the boy, her strength gave out. She had used everything to save him, and now couldn't swim anymore. That's when she hit her head on the marble side of the pool. The sound was terrible. A stain of blood spread in the water and Rachel sank. "Rachel!" Henry had just pulled Lucas out when he saw her disappear again. The boy was in his arms, coughing but alive, when he realized that the person who saved him was drowning. This time, Henry didn't hesitate. He passed Lucas to someone and dove back in. The water was red with blood and he had to dive deep to find Rachel at the bottom. When he brought her to the surface, she wasn't breathing. "Call an ambulance!" he screamed, carrying her out of the pool. Rachel was pale and still in his arms. Henry laid her on the ground and started mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, desperate. "Come on, Rachel," he whispered between breaths. "Don't leave me." The crowd now watched in silence. The cameras recorded every second. All of America was seeing one of the country's most powerful mafia bosses desperately kissing his housekeeper, trying to save her life. After what seemed like an eternity, Rachel coughed and spit up water. She slowly opened her eyes, confused. The first thing she saw was Henry's face over hers with tears streaming down. "Are you okay?" he whispered, running his hand over her face. "You saved my son." Rachel tried to sit up, but the headache was strong. She looked around and saw 200 people staring at her as if she were a miracle. Some were crying, others filming. "Lucas," she spoke with a hoarse voice. "Is he okay?" "He's okay, thanks to you. You almost died saving my son." That's when Rachel realized the situation, soaking wet, bleeding, being consoled by her boss in front of all of America's elite. Veronica was a few feet away with a look of pure hatred. The ambulance sirens were approaching, but the damage was already done. The images were being broadcast live across the country. Within minutes, the internet exploded. All of America was talking about the hero single mom and the cowardly elite. Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan had never received so much attention. Within 2 hours, dozens of TV vans surrounded the entrance. Journalists shouted questions and hundreds of people crowded on the sidewalk with signs supporting the hero single mom. In room 302, Rachel was unconscious, connected to machines. The head trauma had caused brain swelling and doctors said she needed to stay under observation for 72 hours. Henry hadn't left her bedside for a single minute. "Mr. Castellano," said Dr. Martinez, entering with test results. "The results are better than we expected. The swelling is decreasing and there are no signs of permanent damage. She should wake up in the next few hours." Henry sighed with relief, holding Rachel's cold hand. "And Lucas? Your son is perfect. He didn't swallow much water. He was very lucky." "It wasn't luck," Henry said, looking at Rachel. "It was her." Outside, Lucas was sitting in the hallway, still in wet clothes, holding his cell phone. He had refused to talk to anyone who wasn't Aunt Rachel. Veronica arrived like a hurricane. She had spent 2 hours trying to control the damage from the public exposure, but was losing the battle. Social media was boiling with criticism of the family. "Where's my husband?" she asked the nurse. "Room 302, but only family can." Veronica didn't wait for the answer to finish. She climbed the stairs in high heels, leaving a trail of expensive perfume and anger. When she opened the door and saw Henry holding Rachel's hand, something inside her broke. "What a beautiful scene," she said with sarcasm. "The prince taking care of the princess." Henry turned slowly. His eyes were red with exhaustion, but there was something different in them, a determination Veronica had never seen. "She saved our son, Veronica. Saved him while we stood there watching. Oh, what a hero. And now all of America is calling us cowards because of this." "Careful," Henry interrupted, standing up. "Very careful with what you're going to say." "Or what? You're going to leave me for a housekeeper?" "This brave woman did what I should have done. She had more courage in 2 minutes than I've had in 15 years of marriage." Veronica realized she had lost control. Her husband had never talked to her like this, never rebelled. "If you think this story will have a happy ending, you're very wrong. I'm going to destroy her." "No, you won't." The voice came from the door. Lucas was standing there holding his cell phone with an expression too serious for an 8-year-old child. "What did you say, honey?" Veronica tried to smile. "I said you won't hurt Aunt Rachel." "Why are you talking like that?" "Mommy wouldn't hurt anyone." Lucas looked directly into his mother's eyes. "You said it yesterday on the phone. I heard. You said she would have an accident after the party." The blood drained from Veronica's face. You heard wrong, sweetheart." "No, I didn't, and I recorded it." Lucas showed his cell phone. "I recorded you talking, and I recorded other things too." Veronica's world collapsed right there in the hospital hallway. Her son had recorded her conversations, had evidence. "Let me see that phone." She extended her hand desperately. "No." Lucas ran behind his father. "Dad, Mom wanted to hurt Aunt Rachel. She said it would look like an accident." Henry looked at his wife with horror. You were planning to hurt Rachel?" Of course not, it's a child's lie. But Lucas was already working the phone. Want to hear? I have everything recorded. Veronica knew she was lost. In panic, she tried to grab the phone from her son, but Henry stopped her. Don't touch him. Henry, please, you have to listen to me. I've heard enough. Henry picked up Lucas. We're going to talk to the lawyers tomorrow. Veronica was left alone in the hallway, watching her husband and son walk away. Everything she had built, all the control she had, was crumbling. And the worst part, she didn't even know what else Lucas had recorded. The next morning, America woke up talking about the same thing. The video of the single mom saving the boy while 200 wealthy people watched paralyzed was on every newspaper, website, and social media. National shame, the headline screamed. Courage has a name, Rachel Santos. Cowardly elite watches child die. The hospital was under siege. Crowds gathered at the door shouting Rachel's name. Signs reading, Hero of the People, and Rachel for President filled the streets. Inside the room, Rachel finally woke up. She slowly opened her eyes and saw Henry sleeping in the chair beside her, holding her hand. Lucas was curled up on the couch, still clutching his cell phone. Hi, she whispered. Henry woke up immediately. Rachel, thank God you're awake. How did I get here? You hit your head after saving Lucas. You almost died. His voice failed. The memories came back slowly. The party, the pool, Lucas drowning. Is he okay? I'm fine, Aunt Rachel. Lucas jumped off the couch and ran to hug her. You saved me. Rachel hugged the boy, feeling a sharp pain in her head. Of course I saved you. You're my special boy. That's when the door opened forcefully. Veronica entered like a tornado with lawyers behind her. Okay, enough theater. Veronica planted herself at the foot of the bed. You saved the child. Very good. Now let's resolve this like adults. Veronica, get out of here. Henry stood up. I'm not leaving. This woman turned our lives upside down. Now all of America is talking badly about us because of her. Because of us, Henry corrected. Because we did nothing. And now you want to divorce me, destroy our family because of an employee? The silence was cut by Lucas's firm voice. Mom, tell Aunt Rachel what you said on the phone yesterday. Veronica froze. Lucas, son, you didn't understand correctly. Yes, I did. You said she would have an accident, that it would look like a real accident. You wanted to hurt Aunt Rachel. Rachel looked shocked from Lucas to Veronica. Is this true? Of course not. It's a child's invention. Isn't it? Lucas worked his phone and pressed play. Veronica's voice came out clear from the device. Don't worry. After today's party, she'll have an accident. And it'll look like a real accident. That tramp won't bother my family anymore. The room fell into absolute silence. Even Veronica's own lawyers looked at each other in shock. Henry looked at his wife as if seeing a monster. My God, Veronica, you were going to kill her. No, that's not what I meant. There's more, Lucas said, working the phone again. There's her talking about other things too. Veronica tried to grab the phone, but Henry stopped her. Desperate, she turned to Rachel. Look, I'll offer you $500,000 to disappear from our lives. Take the money and go away. Forget all this happened. Rachel stared at her for a long moment, then smiled weakly. You know what's funny, Veronica? Yesterday I was just a housekeeper you could humiliate in front of everyone. Today all of America knows who I am and who you are. You don't know who you're messing with, Veronica hissed. I know exactly. Rachel tried to sit up in the bed. And you know too. That's why you're so scared. The door opened again and several reporters entered, pushing past security. Rachel, how do you feel being called a national hero? Will you sue the family that humiliated you? Is it true you've received offers for a movie about your story? Veronica realized she had completely lost control of the situation. The housekeeper she had trampled yesterday was being treated like a queen by all of America. And she, the wealthy and powerful boss's wife, was being hated as the national villain. She ran out of the room, leaving behind the lawyers and a family that was no longer hers. Lucas snuggled into Rachel's arm and whispered, Aunt Rachel, now will you be my real mom? Rachel looked at Henry, who smiled for the first time in days. If she wants, he replied. If she wants, we'll be a real family. Outside, Veronica heard the applause of the crowd shouting Rachel's name. Her perfect life had turned to ash in 24 hours, and the worst was yet to come. 3 days later, Rachel finally got discharged from the hospital. Outside, hundreds of people shouted her name, holding signs and flowers. All of America was in love with the hero single mom. "I can't believe all this is because of me," she told Henry in the car. "You showed courage when no one else had." Of course, people are moved. Lucas was glued to her hand. "Aunt Rachel, now will you live with us?" Henry and Rachel exchanged glances. In the last 3 days, they had talked a lot about feelings and about the future. "We still don't know, honey. The situation is complicated." Because of Mom? Because of many things. When they arrived at the mansion, they found Veronica packing in the master bedroom. Expensive clothes scattered all over the bed, jewelry being stored in boxes. "Good thing you arrived," she said without looking up. "I need to talk to you." "We have nothing to talk about," Henry replied. "Of course we do." Veronica looked at Rachel with hatred. "Especially about this woman being inside my house. It's not your house anymore. My lawyers already filed for divorce." Veronica stopped packing. "Henry, you can't be serious because of a housekeeper?" "Because of the woman I love," he replied, pulling Rachel close to him. Veronica's jaw dropped. In 15 years of marriage, Henry had never said he loved another person in front of her. "You love her?" "I do. And I'm going to marry her as soon as our divorce comes through." Rachel felt her heart race. It was the first time Henry had talked about marriage. "This is ridiculous. You've only known each other properly for 3 days." "We've known each other for 3 years," Rachel said calmly. "And I love him too." Veronica turned red with rage. You seduced my husband, destroyed my family." "Your family was already destroyed a long time ago," Lucas said from the doorway. "You just pretended we were happy." "Lucas, honey, you don't understand." "Yes, I do, Mom. You're mean. You were always mean to Aunt Rachel, and she never did anything wrong." Veronica felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Her own son was against her. "Fine," she said, going back to packing angrily. "You'll all regret this." "Where are you going?" Henry asked. "To a hotel. And then I'm going to fight for what's mine. Half of everything you have and custody of my son." Lucas ran into Rachel's arms. "I don't want to live with her. I want to stay here." "You're not the one who decides," Veronica hissed. "I'm your mother." "A real mother is someone who cares, who loves, who protects," Rachel said, hugging Lucas. "A mother isn't just someone who gives birth." Veronica grabbed her bags and headed for the door. Before leaving, she turned one last time. "Enjoy these happy moments because I guarantee they won't last." After she left, the house fell silent. Lucas broke the silence. "Dad, were you serious about marrying Aunt Rachel?" Henry knelt in front of his son. "I was. What do you think?" "I think it's great. Then she'll be my real mom." Rachel felt her eyes water. "Lucas, I already love you as if you were my son. And I love you as if you were my mother." Henry hugged them both. For the first time in years, he felt he had a real family. But outside in the car, Veronica was calling her cell phone. "Ricardo, it's me. Change of plans. We're going to have to speed things up." The next day, Lucas was playing in the garden when he saw his mother arriving by car. She had returned, but she didn't look as elegant as always. She was disheveled with red eyes. "Lucas, honey, come here," she called. The boy hesitated but approached. "Listen, son. Mom did some wrong things, but did everything out of love for the family." "What wrong things?" Veronica took a deep breath. "Remember the conversations you recorded on your phone?" Lucas became alert. "I remember. I need you to delete everything. They're private conversations that can hurt Mom. But you said you were going to hurt Aunt Rachel." "I wasn't going to hurt anyone for real. It was just anger, just words." Lucas looked into his mother's eyes. "You're lying again." "What do you mean?" "You always lie. Like when you said you loved me but you never played with me. Like when you said Dad was happy but he was always sad." Veronica felt a stab in her chest. Her 8-year-old son saw through all her lies. "Lucas, if you don't delete those recordings, Mom could go to jail." "And if you go to jail, will you stop being mean?" The innocent question left Veronica speechless. "I don't know, Lucas. I don't know." That's when Henry appeared at the house door. "Veronica, what are you doing here?" "Talking to my son." "You can't be here. There's a protective order." The protective order is to protect Rachel, not Lucas. Henry approached. Lucas, go inside. No, Dad. I want to say something. Lucas took the phone out of his pocket and worked the screen. Mom, I recorded more things besides what you said about Aunt Rachel. Veronica froze. What other things? You talking to Uncle Ricardo about the two of you running away together. And about you never having loved Dad. The blood drained from Veronica's face. Lucas, you didn't understand correctly. Yes, I did. I want to hear, Henry said. Lucas pressed play. Veronica's voice came out clear from the device. Oh, Ricardo, I can't wait for us to be far away from here. 15 years pretending I love this man is killing me. At least when we're in Los Angeles, I won't have to pretend anymore. Henry closed his eyes. 15 years of marriage summed up in one cruel sentence. Henry, I can explain. You don't need to explain anything. He opened his eyes, and they were full of deep sadness. Now I understand why you were always so cold, so distant. Is there more? Lucas said, working the phone again. Lucas, stop. Veronica tried to grab the device, but Henry stopped her. Let him speak. A new recording started. Ricardo, after we get rid of the housekeeper, it'll be easy to control Henry again. He'll go back to being the lovesick fool he always was. Henry looked at his ex-wife as if seeing a monster. You really despise me that much? Henry, those recordings were taken out of context. They weren't, Lucas interrupted. I heard everything. Mom never loved you, Dad. She only likes your money. Veronica saw she had lost everything. Her husband looked at her with disgust. Her son saw her as a liar. And there was recorded evidence of everything. Fine, she said, standing up. You won this battle. But the war is far from over. Veronica, stop with these threats, Henry pleaded. Accept that it's over. Never. She looked directly into his eyes. I'm going to destroy you all, especially her. Mom, Lucas said with a sad voice. Why can't you be good? Veronica looked at her son for a long moment. Because the world isn't a place for good people, son, and one day you'll understand that. She got in the car and sped off, leaving a cloud of dust behind. Dad? Lucas asked. Will Mom hurt Aunt Rachel? Henry pulled his son into his lap. I'll never let that happen. But inside the house, Rachel had heard everything through the window, and for the first time since the accident, she felt real fear. A week later, Rachel was at the supermarket shopping when she felt someone watching her. She looked around and saw Veronica standing at the end of the aisle, wearing sunglasses and a scarf on her head. Rachel thought about going the other direction, but Veronica was already approaching. We need to talk, Veronica said quietly. We have nothing to talk about, and you can't come near me. It's about Lucas, and about things you don't know. Rachel hesitated. What things? Come with me to the parking lot, just 5 minutes. Against her better judgment, Rachel followed Veronica to the parking lot. They stopped between two cars, away from curious eyes. Listen carefully, Veronica began, taking off her glasses. You may have won over my husband and my son, but you won't have my life. I didn't win over anyone. People chose me because you treated them badly. How naive. Veronica laughed without humor. You think you know Henry? Think you know what kind of man he is? I know he's a good person, unlike you. He had 3 extramarital affairs before you. 3. All company employees. Rachel felt her stomach freeze. You're lying. Am I? Ask him about Sandra from accounting. Or about Patricia from the cleaning crew. Or about Julia from reception. Even if that's true, it doesn't change anything. He loves me. He loved them too at first. Veronica moved closer. You know what the pattern is? They were all humble employees. All fell in love with the rich boss, and all were fired when he got tired. Rachel tried not to show that the words were hurting. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm offering you one last chance. Take $2 million and disappear from our lives. Go live well far from here and forget this family exists. And if I don't accept? Veronica smiled in a way that froze Rachel's blood. Then you'll discover that I'm not the only person you destroyed. What do you mean? The other women Henry fired. Some of them lost everything. One even tried suicide. And they all blame me for not stopping it. Rachel was confused. What does that have to do with me? I told them you were the one who asked for them to be fired, that you were jealous and demanded they disappear. That's a lie. It is. But they believe it. And they're very, Very angry with you. Rachel felt fear growing in her chest. You invented lies about me? I did. And you know what's best? One of them knows where you live now, and she's not a stable person. You're threatening me? I'm warning you. Take the money and go away, or the consequences will be terrible. Rachel looked into Veronica's eyes and saw a coldness that scared her. You're really evil. I'm realistic and determined. Two things you haven't learned to be yet. Veronica put her glasses back on. You have 48 hours to decide. After that, I can't protect you anymore. She walked away, leaving Rachel alone in the parking lot with her heart racing and a million doubts in her head. When she got home, Henry noticed she was strange. Did something happen? Rachel looked at him, thinking about Veronica's words. Henry, can I ask you a question? Of course. Have you had other relationships with company employees? Henry's face changed completely. Why are you asking that? Just answer, please. Henry sighed deeply. I have. Before you, 2 relationships. Rachel's heart sank. And what happened to them? It ended. Relationships end, Rachel. They were fired. They were, but not because of the relationships. One stole money from the company. The other missed work too much. Rachel wanted to believe, but Veronica's words echoed in her head. And you? Did you say you loved them? Henry approached and held her shoulders. Rachel, what's going on? Why these questions? Just answer. Did you say you loved them? I thought I loved them, but it was different. With you, it's different. How do I know it's different? Because you saved my son. Because you made me want to be a better man. Because... He touched her face. Because with you, I feel truly alive. Rachel looked into his eyes and saw sincerity, but she also saw fear. Henry, Veronica threatened me today. Said she invented lies about me for other people. What kind of lies? That I asked you to fire your ex-girlfriends out of jealousy. Henry turned pale. My God. Sandra. Who's Sandra? One of the women I had a relationship with. She didn't react well when we broke up. And if Veronica lied to her, what can happen? Henry grabbed his phone quickly. She's unstable. She's tried to hurt herself before. Who are you calling? Security. We need protection now. While Henry talked on the phone, Rachel looked out the window and saw a strange car parked across the street. A car with a woman inside, looking directly at the house. The next morning, Rachel woke up to the sound of breaking glass. She ran to the window and saw that someone had thrown a rock through Henry's car window. Taped to the rock was a note. What was that? Henry appeared behind her, still in pajamas. Someone broke your car window. They went down together. Henry picked up the note and read aloud. You destroyed my life. Now I'm going to destroy yours. Sandra. Oh my God, Rachel whispered. She really believes Veronica's lies. Where's Lucas? Henry asked worriedly. Still sleeping. Let's go inside now. Inside the house, Henry called the security company. I need 2 bodyguards here at the house today. While he talked, the landline rang. Rachel answered. Hello? Rachel? It was a woman's voice she didn't recognize. Is this you who destroyed my life? Who's speaking? Sandra Oliveira, you remember me? I don't know you. Of course you don't. You never bothered to know the people you destroyed. Rachel signaled to Henry, who ran to the phone. Sandra, I never destroyed anyone's life. I think they told you lies about me. Lies? So you didn't tell Henry to fire me because you were jealous? No, I didn't even know Henry well at that time. You're lying. Veronica told me how you demanded he get rid of me. Henry took the phone. Sandra, it's Henry. Veronica lied to you. Henry. Her voice changed, became softer. Do you still think about me sometimes? Sandra, you need to stop this. Rachel has nothing to do with what happened between us. She has everything to do with it. She's just like me, except you chose her. It's not like that. Listen. No. I've listened to too many lies. Sandra screamed. If I can't be happy, neither can she. The call disconnected. Henry looked at Rachel with concern. She's really believing Veronica's lies. And she's dangerous, Rachel said. Sandra was always unstable, but now... The phone rang again. This time it was another number. Hello? Henry answered. Henry, this is Patricia. Remember me? Henry closed his eyes. Patricia, What do you want? I want justice. Veronica told me how your new girlfriend conspired against me. That's not true, Patricia. Veronica is inventing lies. You were always too weak to admit your evils. The call disconnected again. In 5 minutes, 2 more women called with similar stories, all believing Rachel had conspired against them. How many were there? Rachel asked, sitting on the couch with trembling hands. At least 4 that I know of. All believe you asked me to fire them. And now? Before Henry could answer, Lucas came running down the stairs. Dad, there's a strange woman in the garden. They ran to the window. A woman about 35 years old was standing at the gate, looking at the house with anger. It was Sandra. How long has she been there? Henry asked. I don't know. I woke up and already saw her. Henry picked up the phone to call the police, but Sandra started screaming from the gate. Rachel, come out, let's talk like women. I'm not coming out, Rachel shouted back. Then I'm coming in. This gate won't stop me. Sandra began shaking the gate hard. It was an electronic gate, but she was determined. Lucas, go upstairs, Henry commanded. Now. I don't want to leave Aunt Rachel. Go, honey, Rachel said. Everything will be fine. Lucas went up reluctantly. Outside, Sandra kept screaming. I know you're in there. Veronica told me everything. Sandra, Henry shouted from the window. Go away, the police are coming. I'm not going away. Not without talking to her. That's when Sandra picked up a large rock and threw it at the living room window. The glass shattered, and she managed to reach her hand through to open the window. Henry, she's coming in, Rachel screamed. Run, go upstairs with Lucas. Rachel ran up, but Sandra was already inside the house. Rachel, where are you? Let's end this once and for all. Henry tried to stop Sandra on the stairs, but she pushed him with surprising strength. Get out of the way, Henry. This is between me and her. In Lucas's room, Rachel locked the door and hugged the boy. Aunt Rachel, I'm scared. Me too, honey, but we'll be fine. Sandra pounded on the door hard. Open this door. Open it now. Sandra, stop, Henry shouted behind her. Rachel didn't do anything wrong. Liar! She destroyed my life. The pounding on the door got stronger. The door began to crack. That's when they heard police sirens approaching. The police are coming, Henry shouted. Go away before it's too late. Sandra stopped pounding on the door. For a moment, there was total silence. Then she began to cry. I just wanted to be loved, she sobbed. I just wanted someone to love me for real. Rachel felt her heart tighten. Even scared, she felt sorry for that woman. Sandra, she said through the door, you'll find someone who loves you, but not like this. How do you know? You have everything. You have the man I wanted. You have a life I dreamed of. I was a housekeeper until 2 weeks ago. You think my life was always easy? Sandra was quiet for a moment. Veronica lied. Rachel continued. She lied to you, to me, to her own husband. She lies to everyone. The police entered the house. Within minutes, Sandra was taken away, still crying. When everything was over, Lucas hugged Rachel tightly. Aunt Rachel, is it over now? Rachel looked at Henry, who shook his head. Not yet, honey. Not yet. That night, after Lucas went to sleep, Henry and Rachel sat on the porch to talk. It can't continue like this, Henry said. Veronica is turning innocent people into weapons against you. How many more could show up? I don't know, but I know she won't stop. Rachel sighed deeply. Henry, maybe it's better if I leave. What? He turned to her, shocked. You can't be serious. Look at what's happening. A woman invaded our house today. She could have hurt Lucas. Rachel, you can't let Veronica win. It's not about winning or losing. It's about protecting those we love. Henry held her hand. I love you, and I won't let you go. And I love you. That's exactly why I can't put you and Lucas in danger. Then we stop her once and for all. How? Henry was thoughtful for a moment. By officially marrying in front of all of America. What do you mean? Veronica is betting our relationship isn't serious, that you'll run when things get difficult. If we get married publicly, we show we're together for real. Rachel felt her heart race. Henry, are you proposing to me? I am. I know it's crazy. I know we've only known each other properly for a short time, but... He knelt in front of her. Rachel Santos, will you marry me? Tears ran down her face. Henry, You don't have to answer now, just think. We can have a big ceremony broadcast on TV, show all of America that our love is real. And Veronica will have to accept that she lost, that she couldn't separate us. Rachel looked into his eyes. And if she tries something worse? Then we face it together, as a family. Before Rachel could answer, the phone rang. Henry answered. Hello? What? Are you sure? Okay, we're coming. He hung up with a worried face. What was it? Rachel asked. It was the detective. Veronica fled the city. Nobody knows where she is. She fled? And there's more. She withdrew all the money she had in the account. $500,000 in cash. Rachel felt a chill in her stomach. Henry, people who run with cash aren't planning to hide, they're planning something. That's what I'm thinking. What do we do? Henry looked at her with determination. We speed everything up. We get married next week and put so much security in this house that not even a fly gets in without us knowing. And if she shows up at the wedding? Even better. Then she'll be arrested in front of all of America. Rachel took a deep breath. Okay, I'll marry you. Henry smiled and kissed her. It'll be the wedding of the century. Across town in a cheap hotel, Veronica hung up the phone after listening to the entire conversation. The chip she had put in Henry's phone was working perfectly. Wedding on TV? She laughed alone. What a marvelous idea. She opened the suitcase and took out the money. $500,000 was enough to hire the best professionals. If they want an unforgettable wedding, she whispered, they'll have an unforgettable wedding. A week before the wedding, the Castellano mansion had turned into a bunker. Bodyguards patrolled the garden, cameras in every corner, and even the pizza delivery guy needed to show ID. It's looking like a military headquarters, Rachel commented, having coffee in the kitchen. It's temporary, Henry said. After the wedding, Veronica will have to accept that she lost. Lucas came running down with his phone in hand. Dad, the police called. Mom was seen in the city yesterday. Henry almost dropped his cup. Where? At a hotel downtown. But when they got there, she had already disappeared. She's here, Rachel whispered. The night before the wedding, the phone rang. It was Dr. Santos, the lawyer. Henry, Veronica hired a famous law firm. They want to stop the wedding, claiming the divorce hasn't come through yet. Can they succeed? They can delay it, but I'll find a way. After he hung up, Henry held Rachel's hand. She won't be able to stop us. Dad, Lucas said, working his phone. Can I show you guys something? Sure. Lucas pressed play. Veronica's voice came out clear. Ricardo, did you transfer the money? Great. Now hire those people you know. I want them to show up at the wedding. Rachel froze. What people? Lucas went to the next recording. I don't want them to hurt anyone physically. I want something smarter, something that destroys her reputation forever. My God, Henry murmured. She's planning something for our wedding. Is there more? Rachel asked. Lucas spoke, going to another file. The plan is simple. In the middle of the ceremony, when everyone is watching, we'll reveal her past. We'll show who she really is. Rachel felt her stomach sink. What past? I have nothing to hide. The recording continued. It doesn't matter if it's true or a lie. What matters is that the humiliation is public. In front of all of America. Mom's going to invent lies about you, Lucas said sadly. Henry stood up furiously. I won't let this happen. Calm down, Rachel said. If we know what she's planning, we can prepare. How? Lucas has all the recordings. When she tries to attack, we counter with the truth. Aunt Rachel, aren't you afraid? I am, but I'm also angry. And anger is sometimes stronger than fear. Henry hugged them both. Then we'll fight together. That afternoon, Rachel's cell phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Rachel, this is Vanya Santos. I don't know any Vanya. I'm your sister. Rachel almost laughed. I don't have a sister. I have proof that you abandoned a daughter. If you don't want this to become a scandal, we better talk. Listen here, Rachel said firmly. I don't know what lie Veronica paid you to tell, but it won't work on me. I don't know what Veronica you're talking about. Of course you do. And on my wedding day, when you show up to make a scene, there'll be a surprise waiting. Rachel hung up. Lucas, who had heard everything, smiled. You're getting angry like I get with Mom. Sometimes we need to be firm with bad people. Honey, can I tell you something? Sure. I don't miss Mom anymore. Why? Because now I know what it's like to have a real mother. Rachel hugged the boy, knowing she had already won what mattered most. A family. 2 days before the wedding, Rachel was at the supermarket when she felt someone following her. She looked to the side and saw Veronica leaning against a car wearing sunglasses. Instead of running, Rachel went straight to her. "What do you want, Veronica?" "To talk like two civilized women." "Talk then." Veronica took off her glasses. She had deep, dark circles and disheveled hair. "I'm offering you $2 million to disappear from our lives." "I already told you I don't want your money." "Then you'll regret it." Veronica approached. "You know what I discovered about you?" "Discovered what?" "That I worked my whole life honestly? I discovered you had an affair with the neighbor from the house where you worked before, married with kids." Rachel laughed. "Make up another one. And that you got pregnant by him and had an abortion." "Stop, Veronica. I get that you're going to invent any lie." "Lie?" Veronica smiled maliciously. "I have photos. I have witnesses. I have everything. You have nothing, because none of that happened." "It did. And tomorrow all of America will know." Rachel looked right into her eyes. "Veronica, you already lost your husband, lost your son, lost your house. What more do you want to lose?" "I didn't lose anything. You stole everything from me." "Nobody steals love, Veronica. Love is given freely. And nobody ever truly loved you because you don't know how to love." Veronica's face turned red with anger. "You arrogant woman. You think you're better than me?" "I don't think I'm better. I know I'm different. I take care of those I love. You hurt them. Tomorrow you'll see who gets hurt." Veronica got in the car and sped off. Rachel stood in the parking lot with her heart racing but strangely calm. When she got home, she told Henry everything. "She'll show up at the wedding," he said. "She will, and she'll try to make the biggest scandal possible. Should we cancel?" "No." Rachel was categorical. "We've run from her long enough. Tomorrow we face her. And if it goes wrong?" "It won't. Lucas has the recordings. The truth is on our side." That night, Lucas was working on the computer when he called them both. "Dad, Aunt Rachel, come see." On the screen was an online article. "Single mom bride has a shady past." "She's already started," Henry murmured. The article talked about a supposed extramarital affair by Rachel and a pregnancy that had been terminated. "It's all lies," Rachel said calmly. "I know, but people will believe. Some will, until they discover the truth." Lucas worked more on the computer. "Dad, I found something interesting. This woman who said she's Aunt Rachel's sister. Who was she?" "She's an actress, works in commercials, and received $50,000 in her account yesterday." Henry and Rachel looked at each other. "Veronica paid an actress to pretend she's my sister," Rachel concluded. "And probably has more people being paid to lie about you," Henry added. "So tomorrow will be a war," Rachel said. "It will. But we'll be prepared. Lucas, do you have the courage to use those recordings tomorrow if we need to?" The boy looked serious. "I do. Mom needs to learn that lying is wrong." "Then it's decided. Tomorrow we fight." On the morning of the wedding, the entire city was buzzing. Journalists from all over America had come to New York. Thousands of people crowded the streets, and even foreign tourists wanted to see the wedding of the century. At the hotel, Rachel woke up with a strange feeling. It was as if something big was going to happen. The phone rang. It was Henry. "Honey, did you see the news?" "Not yet. Why?" "More articles appeared about you, saying you've been arrested before." Rachel sighed. "That's also a lie. I've never been arrested in my life." "I know, but people on social media are divided. Half defending you, half believing the lies. And now? Now we get married. And whoever wants to believe lies, that's their problem." 2 hours before the ceremony, Lucas called Rachel. "Aunt Rachel, Mom arrived at the church." "Arrived how?" "She's at the door talking to journalists. She's saying she has proof against you." "What kind of proof?" "I don't know, but a lot of people are filming." Rachel took a deep breath. "Lucas, do you have your phone?" "I do." "Then let her talk. When the right moment comes, you show the recordings." "And if I get scared?" "You won't. You're brave like your dad. And I'll be by your side." "Okay, Aunt Rachel. I love you." "I love you too." 1 hour before the ceremony, Carla, the maid of honor, arrived at the hotel, all excited. "Rachel, you need to know. Veronica is handing out flyers at the church door." "Flyers with what?" "Photos of you and texts saying you're a con artist." "Photos from when?" "Of you working, but she invented false captions." Rachel looked in the mirror. She was beautiful in her wedding dress, but there was a war to face. "Carla, do me a favor?" "Sure. Call Detective Ferreira. Ask him to go to the church. I'm going to need him." "Why?" "Because today Veronica is going to self-destruct, and I want her arrest to be very public." 30 minutes before the ceremony, Henry called one last time. "Honey, are you sure you want to do this? We can postpone." "Henry, how many times have you dreamed of being free?" "Many." "Then today is the day. We'll get married, we'll form our family, and Veronica will learn that evil doesn't pay. I love you. I love you too. See you at the altar." When Rachel hung up, she looked one last time in the mirror. She was no longer the humiliated housekeeper. She was a strong woman who had found love and was willing to fight for it. "Veronica," she said to her reflection, "you don't know who you messed with." Sacred Heart Church in Manhattan was packed. 300 guests, dozens of cameras, and outside, thousands of people awaiting the historic moment. Henry waited at the altar, nervous but determined. Lucas was beside him, firmly holding his phone in his pocket. When the music started and the doors opened, Rachel appeared radiant. She walked slowly, smiling, completely ignoring the murmurs of some guests who had seen the false articles. She was halfway down the aisle when the doors opened again. Veronica entered like a hurricane. "Stop this wedding!" The entire church turned around. The cameras immediately focused on her. "This woman is a fraud!" Veronica shouted, walking down the aisle. "She deceived all of you." "Veronica," the priest said calmly, "please leave." "I'm not leaving. I have proof of what this woman did." Rachel, instead of hiding, turned to face her former boss. "Then show your proof," she said loudly for everyone to hear. Veronica was surprised. She didn't expect to be challenged. "You had affairs with married men. You destroyed families." "Lie," Rachel responded calmly. "And you abandoned a daughter." That's when a woman entered the church crying theatrically. It was Vanya, the hired actress. "Rachel, why didn't you ever want to meet me? I'm your sister." But before she could continue, Lucas stood up. "Enough lies," the boy shouted, taking out his phone. "Lucas, be quiet," Veronica commanded. "No, you're lying." Lucas connected his phone to the priest's microphone and pressed play. Veronica's voice echoed through the entire church. "Vanya, you'll enter the church crying and say you're her sister. You'll say she abandoned a daughter. I'm paying you $50,000 to act well." The silence was total. Lucas went to the next recording. "The important thing is to humiliate her in front of all of America. It doesn't matter if it's true or a lie." The church exploded in indignation. Guests stood up shouting, "Liar! How cruel!" Vanya, the actress, turned red and ran out. "There's more," Lucas shouted, going to another recording. "I hired journalists to spread false stories. The more absurd the lie, the more people believe it." Veronica looked around desperately. Her plan had turned against her. Rachel approached her. "It's over, Veronica, you lost." "No, it wasn't supposed to be like this." "It was. Evil always turns against those who do it." The police officers who were at the church approached Veronica. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for slander and defamation." While being handcuffed, Veronica screamed one last time, "This won't stay like this." But no one was paying attention to her anymore. The priest smiled at the congregation. "Now that we've cleared up this matter, can we continue?" The entire church applauded, standing up. Rachel finished walking to the altar, where Henry waited with pride. "You were incredible," he whispered. "We were," she corrected, looking at Lucas, who was smiling ear to ear. And so, in front of all of America, began the most famous wedding ceremony in the country's history. After the police took Veronica away, the church fell into total silence. Then someone started clapping, and the entire congregation stood up in an ovation that lasted 3 minutes. The priest waited for the noise to die down and smiled. "Now that we've resolved this matter, can we continue with the ceremony?" The entire church applauded again. When Henry said, "I do," his voice came out firm and full of conviction. When it was Rachel's turn, she looked right into his eyes. Henry, you gave me a family. Yes, I do. The kiss was long and moving. Lucas ran to the altar and hugged them both. Now we're a real family, he shouted. Outside, thousands of people celebrated. Fireworks exploded in the sky and the church bells rang for 10 minutes. The reception was at the most elegant ballroom in Manhattan. 1,000 guests, great singers, first-class food. But the most moving moment was when Lucas went up on stage. Everyone, he began, and the room fell quiet. I want to talk about my mother. Rachel looked surprised. Everyone knows the woman who had me didn't know how to be a real mother. But today I got a mother who loves me, who protects me. He looked directly at Rachel. Mom, Rachel, thank you for teaching me that family is those who stay together. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. When the party ended, it was past 2 a.m. In the car, Lucas asked, Dad, where's Veronica now? At the police station. She'll be locked up for a while. Can I visit her one day? Henry and Rachel looked at each other. If you want, when you're older you can, Rachel replied. But you don't have to feel obligated. I don't feel angry at her, just sorry. Why? Because she lost the chance to have an incredible family. At home, Henry and Rachel sat on the porch. We did it, he said. We did what? We survived her, and we came out stronger. Rachel laid her head on his shoulder. You know what's funniest? When I was a housekeeper here, I dreamed of this moment. And now the dream became reality. Yes, and it's better than any dream. 6 months later, Rachel was pregnant with Sophia, and Castellano Holdings had doubled in size under her presidency. All of America followed the story of the housekeeper who became a businesswoman. But Veronica was far from having her story finished. 2 years later, Veronica got out of the Federal Women's Correctional Institution in Danbury, Connecticut. The woman who entered rich and powerful came out with nothing. No money, no property, no friends. Ms. Castellano, I'm Carla, a social worker. I'll help you with reintegration. Thank you. We got you a room at a boarding house and a job at a cleaning company. Veronica almost laughed at the irony. She who humiliated housekeepers would now be one. That's fine, she said simply. The boarding house was in downtown Newark, a small room with a bed, a closet, and a small table. It was all she had now. On the first day of work, she met Martha, a 60-year-old woman who had worked in cleaning for 10 years. So you're the new one? I am. Never worked with cleaning? Never. I can teach you. It's not difficult, but there's a way. During the following weeks, Martha taught everything. How to use the products, how to be efficient, how to treat customers well. You learn fast, Martha commented one day. Seems like you've managed people before. Veronica stopped scrubbing the floor. Why do you say that? I don't know. You have the manner of someone who's had responsibility. I had. And I lost everything by being a bad person. Martha looked at her curiously. Want to talk about it? Not yet. 3 months later, Veronica was cleaning a commercial building when she saw a sign. Castellano Holdings, Social Responsibility. She decided to go up and take a look from afar. In the elevator, she met an employee. Do you work here? He asked. No. I'm from the cleaning crew. Then you must know Mrs. Rachel Castellano, incredible woman. Is she? Yes. She created a program that's already lifted thousands of women out of poverty. And the best part, she herself used to be a housekeeper. Veronica stayed quiet. They say her husband's ex-wife was a witch, humiliated the poor woman every day. And what happened to that ex-wife? She was arrested, and good riddance. When she reached the floor, Veronica saw through the glass door. Rachel was in a meeting, smiling, gesturing, clearly respected by everyone. She was the same woman she forced to clean with her bare hands. She went down quickly with a tight heart. That night she wrote a letter she never sent. Rachel, I heard you had a baby. Congratulations. I'm not asking to see you. I just want you to know I've learned a lot, and that I'm rooting for your happiness. She kept the letter in the drawer. She wasn't ready yet. 1 year after the wedding, Rachel was in the president's office when the secretary brought the monthly reports. Mrs. Castellano, this month's numbers. In 12 months as president, Rachel had doubled the company's revenue and tripled the number of employees. More importantly, she had created a program that had already employed 2,000 vulnerable women. How are the training schools doing? 5 units operating, waiting list of 1,000 women. The phone rang. It was a TV station. "Mrs. Rachel, we'd like to do a story about your social work." "Sure, but with one condition. I want you to show the women who were benefited, not just me." 2 hours later, the TV crew was at the office. The reporter was the same one who had covered the wedding. "Rachel, how do you feel being considered the social businesswoman of the year?" "I feel fulfilled. Using my experience to help other people is what gives meaning to my life. Your company has already employed more than 2,000 women. What's the next step?" "We want to reach 5,000 by the end of the year and open 10 training schools." "And your family? How is Lucas?" "Lucas is great. Now he has a little sister, Sophia. He's the most caring big brother in the world." When the crew left, Henry arrived with Lucas and 6-month-old Sophia. "How was the interview?" Henry asked. "Good. I talked about the women's program." "Mom," Lucas said, "at school today they asked if I miss Veronica." "And what did you answer?" "That I miss the mother I wanted her to be, but not the mother she really was." Rachel hugged the boy. "That was very wise. Mom, do you think she's okay?" "I hope so. And I hope she's learning important things." "Like what?" "That honest work doesn't humiliate anyone. That all people deserve respect." That night, Henry and Rachel were having dinner when she made an announcement. "Henry, I've decided something." "What?" "I'm going to open a company just for social reintegration for women who got out of prison." "Serious?" "Serious. Everyone deserves a second chance." "And if Veronica shows up looking for work?" Rachel thought for a moment. "Then we'll see if she really changed." "You'd give her a chance?" "I would. Not to be part of our lives again, but to have the opportunity to start over." "You're incredible." "No. I just understood that holding grudges only hurts us." A few months later, Rachel's new company was operating. Fresh Start Inc., specialized in employing ex-convict women. And without knowing it, Veronica was about to discover this opportunity. 6 months after getting out of prison, Veronica had gotten used to the routine of a housekeeper. She woke up at 5 a.m., worked 8 hours, returned to the boarding house. It was a simple life, but she had found a strange peace. One day, Martha arrived at work excited. "Veronica, I got an incredible offer." "What offer?" "A new company that only employs women who've been through difficulties. It's called Fresh Start." Veronica almost dropped the bucket. "Whose company is it?" "A famous businesswoman. Rachel Castellano. Ever heard of her?" Veronica's heart raced. "I have. They're offering a supervisor position. They pay double what we make here." "Martha, take the offer. Only if you come with me." I told them we work as a team. "I can't." "Why not?" "It's complicated, Veronica. You're hardworking, respectful. You deserve something better." I was a bad person. I lost everything." Martha looked at her with curiosity. "Want to talk about it?" "Not yet." That night, Veronica stayed awake thinking. Rachel was offering work to women like her. It was as if she were extending her hand to those who needed it. The next day, Martha insisted so much that Veronica agreed to go to the interview. The company was in a beautiful but simple building. The receptionist was attentive. "Are you here for the 2 o'clock interview?" "We are." "Amanda will see you." Amanda was a friendly 40-year-old woman. "You're interested in the supervisor positions?" "Yes," Martha replied. "We've worked together for 6 months." "Veronica, do you have management experience?" "I do. I've managed a large house before." It wasn't a lie, just not the whole truth. "And what's your current situation?" "I'm starting over after some personal problems." "Perfect. That's exactly the profile we're looking for." The interview went well. At the end, "You're hired. You start Monday." Outside, Martha was euphoric. "We got a decent job." Veronica smiled, but inside she was conflicted. She was going to work at the company of the woman she had humiliated for years. And the worst part, Rachel didn't even know. In the first week, Veronica worked without ever crossing paths with her boss. It was a large company and she stayed in the operational area. But she knew that one day it would happen. And when it did, she didn't know how she'd react. 3 months later, Veronica was supervising the cleaning of the executive floor when she saw Rachel getting out of the elevator. She was more beautiful than ever, with Sophia in her arms and Lucas by her side. "Mom, can I go to the game room?" Lucas asked. "You can, but don't take long." That's when Lucas saw Veronica. He stopped in the middle of the hallway, surprised. Veronica? Rachel turned and saw her ex-mother-in-law there in a supervisor uniform. The silence lasted a few eternal seconds. "Hi, Lucas," Veronica said quietly. "What are you doing here?" "Working." Rachel approached, still in shock. "Veronica, you work here?" "I do, for 3 months. And I didn't know. I asked Amanda not to tell. I didn't want to cause problems." Rachel looked at the uniform and understood the situation. "You're a housekeeper now?" "Supervisor. But I started as a housekeeper, yes." Lucas looked from one to the other. "Mom," he said to Rachel, "can she see Sophia?" Rachel hesitated. "Lucas, please, she's Sophia's grandmother." Veronica felt her eyes water. "Lucas, you don't hate me?" "No, I was sad for a while, but not anymore." "Why?" "Because my mom taught me that holding anger is bad." Rachel looked at Veronica and saw something new. Real humility. "Want to talk in my office?" "I don't want to intrude." "You won't intrude." In the president's office, Veronica looked around. Everything modern but without ostentation. "Why didn't you tell me you worked here?" "Because I needed the job. And because I wanted to see if I could be better." "And did you succeed?" "I think so. I learned that honest work doesn't humiliate, that the people I despised are better than me." "Martha spoke well of you. Said you taught her how to organize herself." "She talked about me?" "She did. Said you're hardworking and treat everyone well." "I learned that by watching you. Seeing how happy Lucas is with you." Lucas, who had been quiet, approached. "Veronica, do you want to hold Sophia?" Veronica looked at Rachel, asking permission. "You can." Veronica carefully took the baby. Sophia smiled and she started crying. "She's beautiful. She looks just like baby Lucas." "Rachel, I want to apologize. I know I don't deserve it, but I need to say it." She gave the baby back to Rachel. "I was cruel to you. I humiliated you. Mistreated you. I did it out of envy. Out of evil." "Veronica, let me finish. I was cruel to you. I humiliated you, mistreated you. I did that out of envy. Out of evil." She returned the baby to Rachel. "But you taught me the greatest lesson of my life. You showed me that kindness beats evil." "I forgive you," Rachel said. "What?" "I forgive you. I forgave you a long time ago." "Why?" "Because you really changed." But before they could say more, the secretary knocked on the door. "Mrs. Rachel, you have an important meeting in 5 minutes." The moment was ending, and Veronica knew she still had much to prove. 6 months after that meeting, Veronica continued working at Rachel's company. She had become one of the best supervisors, respected by colleagues and praised by management. One day, Rachel called her to the office. "Veronica, I have a proposal." "What proposal?" "I want you to coordinate a new project. A training school for ex-convict women." Veronica was shocked. "Me? But why?" "Because you understand what these women go through. You can help them like no one else." "Rachel, are you sure?" You were a person who made mistakes. But now you're a person who learned. And if I disappoint, you won't disappoint. I trust you." It was the first time in years someone said they trusted Veronica. "I accept," she said with tears in her eyes. 3 months later, the school was operating. Veronica worked 16 hours a day helping women who, like her, had lost everything and were starting over. "Mrs. Veronica," said Carla, a 25-year-old ex-convict, "you saved my life." "What do you mean?" "You gave me a chance when no one else would. You taught me I can start over." "I'm starting over too, Carla. We learned together." One December afternoon, Rachel, Henry, and the children visited the school. Lucas, now 11, was impressed. "Veronica, did you set all this up?" "I did. With your mom's help. It's really cool." Sophia, now 2 years old, ran into Veronica's arms. "Grandma." It was the first time she called her that. "See," Lucas said. "She already considers you family." That night, Veronica was closing the school when Rachel appeared. "How do you feel?" "Good. Useful. For the first time in my life, I feel useful." "You know what the difference is between you now and you before?" "What?" "Before you stepped on people to feel big. Now you lift people up and they make you great." Veronica smiled. "It's a good feeling. It's the feeling of being in the right place. Rachel, can I ask you a question? Sure. Why did you give me this chance after everything I did? Because I believe everyone can change, and because— Rachel paused. Because you're the grandmother of my children, and they deserve to have a grandmother they're proud of. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for teaching me that forgiving isn't forgetting. It's giving the chance to start over. When Rachel left, Veronica stayed alone in the school, looking at the photos of graduates on the wall. Women who had made mistakes, paid the price, and were now rebuilding their lives. Like her. She picked up her phone and called Lucas. Hi, Grandma. Hi, honey. I wanted to thank you. Thank me for what? For giving me a second chance. For teaching me that family is built with love, not blood. Grandma, you were always family. You just needed to learn how to be. When she hung up, Veronica looked out the school window. Outside, a woman was waiting at the door. Another ex-convict looking for an opportunity. She opened the door. Can I help you? I came looking for work. They said here you give people who made mistakes a chance. We do. Come in, let's talk. And so the woman who once humiliated housekeepers now opened doors for those who needed to start over. Justice had been done, not with revenge, but with redemption. Did you like this story? And would you have saved the boy from drowning? Do you think Rachel did the right thing? Tell me in the comments. Until the next story.